Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, anyone and everyone in between, how you doing? Brian Von VA got a question for you today. What is the funniest PC death that you've had? Let us know in the comments below. Being decapitated by the big bad evil guy's Vorpal sword. Which, while itself wasn't funny, they were in the midst of rage, so I asked the DM if I could roll a save or something for his body to continue mindlessly swinging his axe like a chicken with its head cut off. DM said yes, so I rolled a nat 20, killed the big bad evil guy. It was as hilarious as it was glorious. I was running a game where one player joked about shoving another off the cliff. Before I could say, absolutely not, the other player, to my surprise, said, roll for it. He rolled a 19, the defender rolled a 9, and off he went. Turns out Tabaxi monks may always land on their feet, but falling 500 feet into jagged stone, that doesn't matter much. As I said, you were shoved off the cliff. It's 500 feet down to jagged rocks and salt water. The player said, hold on a moment, and played this on his phone. Or, at least, that would have been the funniest PC death I've ever seen if the monk hadn't reminded me that he didn't have a token of slow fall on his character. So, he slowly descended down into the water and climbed back up, pissed off at the rogue for roughhousing in dangerous places. Zod Baldfeet. He never found out that he was actually a kender raised by halflings. Challenged the local kingpin of halfling crime to a game of toss, which consisted of halflings throwing each other as far as possible. Zod was tossed straight out of the window, rolled quite poorly, and died victorious, winning his friend's freedom and money. Rolled a paladin against type, more of a bard, me, got into a fight with goblins. Pulled out his great shield with his plate mail and yelled to the squishy wizard, everyone, behind me! Goblin gets out his bow. Nat 20, max damage, arrow through the visor, killed me stone dead. Total time alive IRL was 15 minutes. They still laugh about it. A single goblin killed the entire party because our lookout failed a perception check, was then hit with a poison dart, failed a con save, and fell asleep. Goblin snuck into the camp and poisoned all of our water. We all failed our saves. We were 8th to 9th level. Do you know how badly 5 people have to roll for this to happen? Ooh, I have one, pick me! Well, you got your wish. Context 1. I played a halfling. I wanted to have a feat and my DM accepted a compromise. I get the feat, but my halfling luck trait is inverted to bad luck. When I roll a natural 20, I had to re-roll it. This fit my character well since he was a gambling addict with bad luck. Context 2. We were using a fumble table because we didn't yet know how bad of an idea that was. Oh, we learned the hard way. Now, we were sneaking through a dungeon and realized one of the barrels was a mimic. I pointed my crossbow at it and shot a sneak attack. I know I should have announced it after the hit, but hey, no takebacks. I rolled a natural 20. For a half second I was excited, and then the DM reminded me of the bad luck. Well, too bad. Re-rolled. Natural 1. DM rolls on the fumble table and got a 100. Well, I hit myself. Critically. With a sneak attack. Full damage instead of rolled. My character was instantly dead. Executed by himself. We learned a lot about sequencing and how bad fumble tables are, but we had a good laugh and a story we will always remember. It's like the Russian roulette scene in Squid Game Season 2, except with a crossbow pointed at yourself going, hey, don't move, I'm gonna get him, guys! Fell out of and was hit by a falling airship. This was an untouchable character, by the way, who I accidentally built to have insane AC, and any level appropriate enemy couldn't really hit her. Granted, she wasn't much of a damage dealer either, but she could hold the line. So I found it very funny that the only thing that could actually harm her turned out to be an airship on freefall. I'll never get over a friend of mine who killed an ancient red dragon with his level 3 paladin by baiting it into blasting him point-blank range with its fire breath, while he stood in front of and obscured enough explosives to blow its head off. His character went straight to the afterlife of his god, to be praised by his faith as a hero. The rest of us got rich after we dug through the rubble. I tried to outdrink a dwarf as a level 2 human mage. First evening of play. The DM warned me twice. He explained to me that the strong alcohol would act as poison if I go too far and would not stop after the first 2 failed constitution checks. I failed too. I got poisoned, but did not stop, thinking I would easily survive the damage. The DM warned me again. I got a nat 1 on the 3rd, getting double damage, rolled extremely high, and getting unconscious. Then, and only then, the healer told me he has no more slots. I went into death saves, nat 1 again, and died. We laughed and laughed about the throws, and the DM said that the dwarves hold my name in high regards because I was, in their eyes, the only human with balls enough to willfully drink himself to death. It was a mix of funny and epic. So essentially, we were playing a campaign where it was set sort of in a realistic, kind of non-fantasy setting where we had to make explanations for all the magic sort of stuff. And we were all playing a group of really old friends as we unraveled this mysterious cult. It was a deck of many things campaign. I was playing a Norwegian, World War II resistance fighter turned rock climber who retired to Salt Lake City where it was set. I was an artificer monk multi-class. Unfortunately for me, I pulled the flame card rather early in the campaign. The demon was reflavored as a Nazi captain who had essentially been hunting me for killing some of his men with an explosive trap during the war. Now, throughout the campaign, I had a reoccurring thing I'd say when making an intimidation check. I'd lean in close and whisper, "I have a pipe bomb in my pants." And for some reason, I always rolled high when I did that. Sadly, before we had the chance to end the campaign, I had to move. On my last session, after we had been able to defeat a mini-boss, the captain had caught up to me, and I had my party give us space for a one-on-one fight. Now, obviously, being a little too low-leveled to take on the actual stat card, I ended up losing the fight. Being my last session, I decided to forego rolling death saves for one last action. I grabbed him, pulling him closer, driving his bayonet further into my stomach. I leaned in close and whispered into his ear, "I have 2 pipe bombs in my pants." The DM had allowed it to be so that I had been ready, waiting for this day. During the war, I had set up an explosive device consisting of 2 pipe bombs that I wore around my thigh in case I got captured or was killed in close quarters. And thus, a lie made for funny intimidation checks became an epic final act. TLDR. My character lied about having a pipe bomb in his pants to intimidate, but it ended up being true and being a funny, great final act. During a dungeon crawl, my knowledge domain cleric and another player's chronerge got into the bad habit of casting spells as rituals too often for the DM's taste. The DM tried hinting at it by having us roll wisdom saving throws with increasingly high DCs for our ritual shenanigans. Eventually, while casting Detect Magic as a ritual, my cleric failed the Wiz saving throw and caused a wraith to appear. Got almost downed, but eventually defeated the wraith with the party's help. Emboldened by the victory, my character happily proceeds with his ritual, because this part of the dungeon is now safe, right? Right? Another failed Wiz saving throw, another wraith appeared and obliterated him in 2 rounds. It was hilarious both in and out of character. As a player, I grossly misinterpreted the situation. And as for my stubbornly curious character hell-bent on finding all the magics, there couldn't have been a more on-brand way to go out. Fortunately, my character got resurrected eventually, and from then on, I can't cast shit with this group of players without getting asked, "As a ritual?" Our warlock decided to rush past the front line and eldritch blast a weird floating crystal in the center of the battlefield, triggering it to explode violently in his face and kill him instantly. After 2 sessions of hauling his charred corpse around, the party managed to find a diamond and a cleric to resurrect him. The very next session, when the party was trying to infiltrate a villain's hideout to steal some documents, he discovered that the file drawer they were being kept in was trapped. He promptly rolled a nat 1 on disabling the trap and got vaporized a second time. Mine. I had just acquired a spell scroll for Featherfall, and my friend, not knowing how wizards, prepared spells, and spellcasting in general works, decided to grab me and jump off of a cliff for fun. This one's not me. The bard awoke a group of living armors. I, the cleric, fled the room and locked the door behind me so that I could accomplish the task we were actually trying to do. I come back 15 minutes later and the fighter and ranger are standing over the dead bard, who has an arrow in the neck. The only one with a bow in the room was the ranger. Having finished a dungeon and headed back to town, one player realized that he was 1 experience point from next level. He had another party member summon a goat so that he could kill it for experience. He didn't expect to get any trouble from a goat and didn't bother healing up from the adventure. The goat got a critical hit, killing his character. Divine intervention had failed. My rogue climbed into a small, reed, halfling had to crouch tunnel leading to the dragon's lair. The rest of the party kept whispering for him to come back. Come back! But he forged on ahead. He got to a wall and tapped it. The dragon's eye opened in the wall, and the dragon breathed fire down the tunnel. The DM ruled that because the cone was constricted into the tunnel, my rogue took 4 times the damage. And, of course, he rolled lots of high numbers. Whoops. Half the group decided to break into a noble's house because they suspected them being a cultist. The rogue decided to create a homemade bomb to use as a distraction despite not having proficiency in an alchemy kit or reliable talent yet. I asked him to roll for it, and he rolled a total of 5, DC was 14. I told him the mixture was reacting violently, and he has 1 round left before it blows up. He did not throw it out of the window or run away. No. He tried to save it by adding more stuff. I asked for another roll, total of 3 this time, DC 17. The mixture blew up in his face, 8d6 fire damage, and destroyed the corner of the room of the inn they were staying in. Another 4d6 bludgeoning damage from the collapse. The rogue was knocked unconscious under the rubble and failed 3 death saves before anyone could get him out. This one I felt sort of bad about and probably should have DM'd differently. I gave a player who missed a session a mini solo quest. They are a goblin, and they came across 3 goblins in the woods with some loot on their cart. The player, after talking to them a bit, decides to grab a magic item and just run for it. I gave him partial cover for running through trees, and the 3 goblins rolled an 18, 19, and nat 20, and unfortunately killed my unlucky player. In hindsight, it would have been more interesting to have the goblins capture him, so there could be some sort of rescue mission. But in the moment, I was just like, it just makes more sense for them to kill him since they are evil goblins. Long ago in high school. I won't name the adventure because it's still around, but my friend Todd's character got sucked into a whirling fan trap and died. Justin, the DM, had taken the protective grill off his parents' box fan and turned the fan up all the way. He had a hot dog for each of our characters, and he tossed Todd's dog at the fan. The poor hot dog effigy ricocheted off the blades and shot across the room, scarred but generally intact. No, Justin said, it's more like this. And he retrieved the damaged wiener, pinched the end of it tightly in his fingers, and fed it into the fan blades. All of us were instantly covered in a mist of hot dog. It was all over the room. Took us a while to clean up, while Justin was just like, that's what happens to your character. Fighting Baba Lysaga. I tried to push her off her flying skull with repelling blast and failed, so I jumped from the roof of the hut to the skull to at least distract her. But she magic missiled me, which knocked me unconscious, before rolling my body off the skull, making me take damage and an instant death save failure. Then on my turn, I rolled a 1 and died. Nobody made it to me in time and thought I was safe for a round because she was hurt and I was out of the way. It's just so funny to imagine a guy jumping across this gap just to get blasted and then falling out of the sky and hitting a rock and just dying. Tomb of Annihilation. First character died in the first combat encounter with a few swarms of insects. In the second session, my new character, a Tabaxi Ranger with 12 max HP since we're still level 1, was introduced at the mouth of a dungeon. I forget exactly which one, but it's early on in the module. My character falls down the first pit trap for 8 damage, gets up on the other side. Another PC jumps over the pit and then decides to jump back. Sword trap triggers after the other PC jumps back where my ranger is standing. I fail the dexterity save and take 16 damage for an immediate death. They just got bisected by this sword trap and died within 20 minutes of being introduced IRL. The party end up pushing my PC's corpse into the pit, not even bothering to loot it. Oh my god! Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below what is the funniest PC death that you've ever had. And of course, if you want to support the channel, joining our membership program will keep the lights on and give you early access to videos. We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo.